What's up, friends? Sean here, Mr. Hero Support Guy, your friendly neighborhood guide to the good life. Just testing out my YouTube live stream feature here. Want to see how it works, and then we're going to try to use it in the app so you guys can interact with me on a regular basis, and we can check in around how things are going, what's new in your world, what you're working on, in terms of goals and stuff like that, and share our progress, share our journeys, talk about whatever challenges we're facing and how we're getting through obstacles and opposition. And I'm calling it the empowerment zone because that's what I'm trying to create, a space where people can come in and get a little power boost, a little morale boost, a little energy boost, a little encouragement and validation and support, a little guidance, and a map for the territory, right, of creating positive changes. So I'll try to keep it somewhat informal. If you're familiar with my work, I've been creating educational videos for like 10 years. And I don't really need to do any more of those educational videos because I've created my library that I needed to create in order to set up my life management training program, which you can check out at heroify.passion.io. That's where my progressive web app is located. What that means is you can go to that web page, and then using Android or iPhone, you can figure out how to save that web page to your home screen of your smartphone. And then from that point on, you can just click on the little icon of the web page that's on your smartphone and have quick, easy access to that web page that I've created, where you can log in if you're a member and participate in our mobile support system. That's what it is. It's a mobile support system for happiness engineers, people who are trying consciously to create a life that feels good naturally. They're trying to make progress toward goals, and they want to feel good about their life situation, right? So they're going to try to do things that bring happiness about naturally. And by happiness, I mean, getting what you want in a way that is also good for what everybody tends to agree is good for the human in us, right? According to best practice, positive psychology, and stuff like that. So, another way I say it is advancing progress toward your personal goals as an individual without sacrificing your well being or your psychosocial well being, the health and functioning that is you as a living being, experiencing life with other people, right, as a social creature. It's kind of important that you do things in a way that maintains a good rapport with others, even when you're mad or especially when you're upset, right? So, anyways, guys, so far so good. It looks like my audio is working and video is working here. I got the green screen behind me. I was going to try to use that to create like a cool background, but I haven't quite figured that part out yet. So I'm learning as I go, just like you are, always engaged in the lifescaping process, trying to create situations that are going to work for me, and just building the situational conditions that will lead me to that vision that I'm trying to actualize. That'll help me to actualize my vision for the future in whatever area. And so that's what this is all about for me, the Heroify app that I'm working on, and the membership, the mobile support system for happiness engineers, is all about helping people to get the tools that they're going to need in order to be able to perform those lifescaping tasks effectively. So if you take a big picture view of it, you might call it situation optimization, right? You're learning how to optimize the aspects of your day-to-day situation for what I call life success, or being well and doing well in that context of good relationships with other humans and living beings. And that's a lot harder than just doing whatever the hell you want, right? Because you have to actually learn how to restrain yourself when you want to act out. You can't do that. if you want to maintain a sustainable good life situation, right? So it's hard to create those changes. Um, and that's why I talk about how you have to be heroic because um, just being any old dude off the street ain't gonna work in this situation, right? You have to actually have some knowledge and some skills and some frame of reference about how and why to engage in what I call life management, how to manage your life for positive impact, what I call impact management, right? So that's what I've been working on for the last 10 years is how to create content that will work for you as an educational library or a program that you can teach yourself that will help you to expedite the process of going from ordinary mortal to guardian of the good life, right? An empowered problem solver. Instead of being someone who creates problems, try to be someone that solves problems on a regular basis. Because you see, most of us don't ever question ourselves, right? We don't ever think about what we're doing. We don't want to look at our dark side, what we call shadow work, right? If you're familiar with the new age kind of spiritual stuff, it's popular on like other social media apps like TikTok. They have whole sections devoted to people talking about spirituality. And one of those topics is shadow work. And what that means is being willing to look at yourself, right? What are the parts of me that are causing my life to not be as happy as I would like it to be? Right. And I don't mean your life is always going to be happy, right? Like I said earlier, happiness for me means psychosocial health and functioning, right? Well being. That means that as a human organism, you're fully operational, you're functional. And so some days things aren't going well. You might have a feeling like sadness or discouragement, you might be down, but you know how to bounce back, right? Or you know how to focus on positive self talk. You know how to ask for help. You know how to write in a journal. You know how to draw a picture, listen to music, go for a walk, cope, and, intervene on your own behalf in some way, in little ways that so you can baby step your way back to Awesome Town, right? Like Bob Wiley from What About Bob? Baby step my way out of the building, baby step my way down the elevator, baby step my way onto the bus, right? And because he's a guy that has like some sort of paralyzing nervousness that's, he thinks his bladder is going to explode if he walks too fast or touches any germs or anything, because he's not going to dare to like open a bathroom door and to go to the bathroom. So he gets over that by learning to stop thinking about the whole elephant that he's trying to eat, so to speak, metaphorically, and instead just focus on the little bite that he can take right now. What can I do right now? What can I control? What can I do? That's what I call lifescaping. It's like landscaping for your life, landscaping, but for your life, right? Instead of landscaping your backyard and seeing what you want to get off your yard, like trash and junk. Maybe you want to cut the shrubs or you want to mow the yard or you want to plant some flowers, right? So first you got to get the stuff out of there that you don't like. Then you got to get the stuff in there that you do like. And you got to have some tools and some skills and some understanding about how to do it. And then you got to know how to sustain it. And it's the same thing with creating situations that feel good naturally. So this Empowerment Zone video cast will be my way of trying to reach people in the community and help them to get a better idea of what it is I'm offering at my Heroify app. If you're familiar with the characters like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, The Flash, any of them really in the movies, you know that they all kind of follow the same pattern, right? They start out as like an ordinary person, and then something happens that sort of quickly transforms them into the more empowered version of themselves, right? So Clark Kent steps into a phone booth and he steps out and he's Superman. Um, Peter Parker gets bitten by a spider and then he becomes Spider-Man, right? The Ninja Turtles started out as just little turtles and they walked through some kind of radioactive ooze and then they became superheroes. So the superpowered version of themselves. And so the Heroify app is like that for you. You go in as just your regular everyday Clark Kent, Peter Parker self, and or whoever you're thinking of, and then you learn and you develop some frame of reference and some skills and understanding about habits that you're going to need. What is character and how is it different than personality? Why does it matter what you do, right? Instead of nothing mattering, actually everything matters, because you've been taught all your life that you have no power to influence things. Most people have anyways, but actually you can influence quite a bit if you try to. And there's possibly a lot of forces out there in the universe that maybe don't want you to learn how to do that, because they like being able to use their influence over you. And if you start taking your power back and doing things the way you want to do it, um, other people might have to start approaching you from a more respectful, egalitarian, or equal value kind of way. And they might feel threatened and insecure about that because they don't really know how, right? Because they didn't get these kind of trainings that I'm offering. And that's what I'm proud of, is I've spent over a decade creating this content. I've tested it out in many different areas and with many different people, and I've tweaked it a billion times, right? I've changed the name and content topics and titles and formats. And when I started creating this back in 2011, the AI infrastructure, the internet infrastructure was basically non-existent. I think smartphones just started really coming out back in 2010. I remember I had like a flip phone back then, but now it's all out here, so I can kind of do my thing. And what that is I wanted to create an opportunity for people to get support when they are someone who wants to have a good life and who is willing to reflect on who they are and what they've been doing. And they have a growth mindset, and they think to themselves, you know what? I'm okay with looking at my quote unquote flaws and realizing that they're not actually flaws. They're just parts of me that have been trained and taught to act a certain way. And I can change that if I practice a new way, right? So, for example, when I was younger, I used to act like a little dictator. I would tell people, no, this is what you're doing. You should do this, do this, do that. And it was somewhat confrontational, and nobody liked me for doing that. And so I realized that, like that drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket, I was trying to be a good guy, but I was really, you know, looking down on people and thinking that they were stupid for not understanding what I understood. And I kind of had forgotten that I had to teach myself this stuff too, and everybody else has to teach it to themselves. So hopefully, by going to my Heroify app, you guys will have, you'll be able to speed up that process of learning whatever maybe you don't know already about creating and protecting situations for sustainable good life experiences. But that was one of the ways in which I was earning less, was by having a management style that was kind of dictating. Um, you know, I was causing people to resent me. And so I had to, tweak that. And instead of trying to be authoritarian, I learned how to be authoritative, right? So instead of telling people what to do, I learned how to be a leader and guide people and understand that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? And that revealed to me that I was kind of sad inside because, I had a lot of family and friends that I wanted to see get it so they could have a good life, but they just weren't ready to get it, or if they misunderstood what I was doing. They thought I was being cocky or arrogant or judgmental. And so they rejected it, right? And now, after me working on it for 10 years, I think they've started to wake up and realize that actually I was talking about stuff that made sense and that it's not judgmental at all. But in fact, what they were doing to me was judgmental, because judgmental means prejudging, right? So without knowing what's really going on. So we're going to encounter that sometimes in life, guys. And you just got to keep on going if we want to get to Awesome Town, right? That goal achievement, the actualization of our vision. About in 2011 in January, I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to create a program that would offer people support and guidance and encouragement and validation and educational training opportunities around what I call life management. I had worked with male batterers at a batterer intervention program, trying to help people to stop being physically violent in domestic violence type scenarios. And I was with heterosexual, gender traditional males and who had been in relationships with a female partner. And I'd also worked with kids at a group home and homeless families. And since then, I've worked in the recovery field for a number of years as an alcohol and drug counselor. And now I have my life coaching and peer support business called Hero Support Guy. And that's what powers Heroify and this video cast. So I got the idea for Hero Support Guy from Alfred and Batman, right? Batman is a superhero, but he has somebody back at home helping him out, giving him encouragement, support, validation, tools, somebody equipping him with the tools he needs to help go on his mission to manage what happens in Gotham City, right? So that Gotham City can keep having a positive impact on the living beings that live there and work there and play there and go to church there, etc., right? Ride the bus there. So if you're someone who wants to manage your day-to-day situations for happiness, right, the kind that's sustainable, for good life experiences, then you're going to be doing that. You're going to be managing situations for positive effect. And so one of the fastest ways to get better at that is to increase your own positive impact potential, right? That's what I've realized. If you can see that you're being kind of authoritarian, you can try to switch it over to being authoritative. If you can see that you're enabling people to make poor choices because you don't want them to feel embarrassed, right? Nobody likes conflict. Believe me, I don't like conflict either, but I've learned how to adapt to it. Sometimes you have to confront things that make you feel awkward, and you just have to do it in a way that's based in love, right? That's what heroism is. Love for myself, love for the other party, and love for our future. So when I see somebody doing something that I know is going to harm me on an emotional level or on a physical level, or it's going to hurt my ability to maintain my own happiness machine, my situation that's been set up as a success propulsion system, right? My situational, day-to-day situational variables have been put together in a way that allows me to blast off into success. When I see somebody coming along and trying to threaten that by telling me that I should quit my job or I should break up with my partner, or maybe I should start doing this or that behavior that's not going to be good for me, or maybe I should give up on my dream. Those are things that are red flags to me. And I go, so I can still be friends with this person potentially, but I got to be aware that they have this part of them that's seems to be trying to influence me in a way that would be destructive for my goals and dreams, and destructive for my priorities, and destructive for my quality of life, and destructive for my personal power or influence, right, in my own life. And so I'm gonna have to set boundaries with them and say, hey, you know what? That's not gonna work for me. So you have to get comfortable saying no to people and being okay with them and yourself feeling a little socially awkward. And you have to be confident to know that you're not actually hurting them. If there's social awkwardness, it's because you've just exposed something that was already happening. They were already trying to talk you into sabotaging yourself, right? And your own situation. And so you confronted that. That's good. But there's I forget what the movie was. I think it was Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, where this private detective is trying to track down this guy who's like a serial murderer. And anyways, he ends up going into the serial murderer's house, and the serial murderer comes in, and he catches him in the kitchen or whatever, right? Or like outside of the house. I think the private detective was just leaving the house, And he ends up the serial murderer pretends to be like a normal person and acts like he didn't just see the cop coming out of his house. And he says, "Hey, would you like to come in or something and talk?" And the guy ends up coming in, the private detective, and sure enough, the bad guy gets him and ties him up. And like he gives a little speech to the private detective and says, "Listen, you know, you and I both knew when I got here that you had been in my house, and yet you didn't want to offend me socially and create a scene by calling me out right there in public. And now look at where you're at." And I thought that was a brilliant example of what happens when we prioritize social comfort over the truth, right? Comfort that kills versus an uncomfortable truth that, or I should say, a lie that is comforting or a truth that hurts, right? Sometimes telling the truth and being honest with ourselves can make ourselves and others feel a state of temporary nervousness or distress, but in the long run, it's like resetting you know, a shoulder bone that was out of place. Like, it's going to hurt for a minute, but it's going to facilitate your healing and recovery. But if you're not willing to ever go through that little bit of discomfort, then you're going to end up sacrificing the functioning of that shoulder, forever. And that's no good. So, what I have noticed, is that in order to become an empowered person in my own life and to help other people become empowered in their lives so they can be better managers of their own circumstances and feel good naturally instead of having to go, use alcohol and drugs and stuff excessively in order to numb out like I did when I was younger. And instead of having to do that, you have to be willing to break out of those patterns like the enabler one, which is where I was going with this. Um, Sometimes in order to break out of that enabling role, you have to be willing to confront the truth of what's going on. And even if somebody else would prefer to remain in a delusion or a fantasy, they would rather have you go along and pretend that you're not being bothered by whatever problem they're engaging in, or that what they're doing isn't hurting you, but it actually is hurting you, right? Let's say. And so it's your option to do something about that in a safe, legal, respectful, team-oriented way, a way that's going to keep a good rapport, right? You don't even have to really say something in a conflicting way, like a conflict creating way. I was just talking to somebody the other day that the way I came up with for confronting problems with people now is I try to use a template like this. It's 3 parts. It goes, "You're cool, we're cool, but that's not cool." So I might, if somebody like, you know, uh, slammed the car door, like a little kid that I was a parent of, right? I might say, "Hey, you know what? I know you're just trying to have fun, but it's not okay to slam the door because, that might make somebody scared or something. And so, don't do that. But, I love you and everything's fine, right? That kind of made me a little jumpy when you slammed the door, but I'm okay now." So it's like you're good and our relationship remains as good as it was before, but just try not to do that if you don't mind, because I don't like that. And as long as, I have a legitimate claim to talking about that issue, I obviously can't just tell people what to do because there's that dictator thing, right? If I just think I can just dictate what they're going to do with their life, that's not going to work. But, don't get it twisted. A lot of people get upset with me. They think, "Why are you trying to tell me how to live my life?" And I want to say back to them, do you get this upset whenever you bring your car to the mechanic? Because the mechanic he knows how to fix your car. He knows how to put, your struts back together again and your brakes and your radiator, and he knows how to, put oil in there and stuff and new tires on, but you don't ever get mad at him for trying to help you with that, right? And so why are you getting mad at me? Because my specialization is in situation technician. I know how to work on situations. I know how to empower people. I'm an empower mentor, someone who empowers and shows the way. That's what I'm good at. I think that's what I'm here to do on planet Earth. My purpose in life is to have gone through a lot of crappy experiences and then to have healed from them, so I can show other people how to heal from them too. And instead of ending up in a life of domestic violence and criminality and substance use problems, you can end up in a life where you're feeling good naturally and being an empowered problem solver in your own life, what I call a guardian of the good life or a happiness engineer. But the only way you're going to get to do that and have that happiness machine is if you're able to heroify yourself and your situation. So, heroify means to become heroic, to beef up your personal power of influence or your positive impact potential. And if you can do that by developing a frame of reference for life management, for what it means to manage impact in your day to day life, if you can develop the skills and the habits and the knowledge that you'll need, and you have support from people like me who can encourage you when you're making good choices, but that nobody else likes, when the culture you grew up in is telling you that you're a bad person because you're trying to do what's good for you in a way that's also good for others, that's going to come off as really confusing and messed up. And yet that happens a lot, right? Because most people are not taught how to recognize the difference between a culture that supports personal empowerment and a culture that um, destroys it or tries to oppress it, right? And we don't want to be in those disempowerment zones, right? We want to be in an empowerment zone so that we can be well and do well in life and get to our good life sooner than it might have taken otherwise, right? It might take you 50 years to learn all the stuff that I have put into this Heroify webpage, but you can go there right now and in the next 30 days have listened to every single audio and video clip that I have and know just as much as me about it. So it's your choice. But a lot of people don't realize that it's something that would benefit them to learn about. What is self-care? What are emotions? What is assertive communication? What is passive aggressive? What is situational design? What is situational understanding, right? What is mindfulness? What is pattern recognition, and why does it matter? And so once you get to the app, by the way, you and you can check that stuff out without being a member. I've also made it possible for you to start to create your own situation improvement plan. So if you want to start improving things right now in your day-to-day life, just go to heroify.passion.io, heroify.passion.io, and click on the Learn tab at the bottom of the screen. And then you'll go and you'll see a series of squares, and one of them looks like a rainbow, and it says create your plan. And you'll click on that, and then you can fill out a form called How's It Going, which will show you like whether or not you already have a life success system set up. And then you, like, based on my understanding of what things are needed in order for us to get our human needs met, like we need to have housing, transportation, employment, income, be bully and abuse free if possible in the places where we spend our time. It's better to have some insurance so you can go to the doctor, right, than it is to not have to have that. And like there's a series of like 27 questions you can fill out and then get an idea of how things are going. And then you can choose to fill out the action steps organizer form, which is going to help you to have a plan that you can implement. It'll go directly to your email and it's your plan. I just created the form to help you to fill it out, but it's based on your answers. And it's just meant to help you organize your thoughts, focus your attention, and prioritize your action steps so you know what things to do first in order to start making progress toward your best life situation or your favorite life situation, whatever it is that you want, and to make sure you just do it in a way that's not going to shoot yourself in the foot, metaphorically speaking. You don't want to do it in a way that's going to damage rapport, right? You don't want to do it in a way that's going to keep things at a withering state or a languishing state. You don't want to be in Suckyville or lacklusterville. You want to be in awesome town. So you can't be perpetrating against yourself and others, right? Doing things that hurt yourself and others. You have to start caring. And also, you don't want to enable, because if you're enabling, then people are going to stay stuck in Crappyville, and so are you. So it's your choice, though, and you do it in your time, and you want to do it in a way that's safe when you start to use your power of influence, so that you don't run into any unforeseen negative consequences. Anyways, guys, this has been fun chatting with you, a little free flow conversational style. Feel free to pop in and ask me any questions you have, or to talk about what you're up to in the chat filter. And I'll try to set up a time regularly to do this in each week, at least one time. And I'm hoping that people that are members of the app will be able to catch me here, and we can, interact for ongoing support in general. And last thing, let's see. So go to the website, check out the audio stuff, start filling out a plan, and think about becoming a member if you would like to get these type of support opportunities, either with the group or with me, or one-on-one. All those options are available. It costs extra to do one-on-one with me than it does just for the membership to do these kind of things. It's $5 a month to be a member and get access to the tracking feature, the progress tracking feature, and the group forum, and the text feature for me, where I can respond in a video text to you, and to be able to engage with me in these type of ways through this type of format. And also to engage with the group is in Zoom online meetings that we try to meet once a week whenever possible. So if you'd like to get that support, then I recommend becoming a member for $5. Obviously, that's an incredibly good deal. It's affordable. I'm not doing this to make a profit, although I hope to make enough money to live my life, and eventually not have to do other work. But clearly offering all of this content and guidance and support. I have 14 years experience in behavioral health. I'm an expert in my field, and I'm an expert on heroism education. I've been studying heroism since 2012 or 11. So that's like 10, 11, 12 years of studying heroism. I've given speeches on heroism in Australia, in Michigan at the world's first conference on heroism, and the world's first academic conference on heroism. I've written 6 ebooks about lifescaping and impact management and character and heroism. So I got it going on in that area. That's my special interest, you could say. So if you would like to benefit from what I have learned and what I've done with my knowledge, you can benefit in a big way for a low, low price by taking advantage of this opportunity. And as much as I love to be proud of myself in my own healthy narcissism, I want you to be proud of yourself. And I'm a great listener too. And I'd love to hear what you're up to and what you're proud of doing and what you're working on. And I'd love to encourage and support you to be your best self. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day and a great life. And we will be back next week again to step into the empowerment zone with Shawn Furey. Take care.